What up, my fellow dorks? It is the Turtle Dork back with a new movie review for you today. So today I have for you Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Yes, I know I'm a little late with this review, but I definitely wanted to get this one out because this is one of the best movies of the year, one of my favorite movies of 2018. So let's go ahead and dive into this film and give you some of my thoughts that I have. So first of all, I think going into this movie, one of my main concerns about the film, especially once we started to see a little bit more of the trailers and how expansive this movie was going to be, because when we originally heard about this film, when that initial trailer came out pretty much like a year ago, this was going to be a Miles Morales story. But as we started to get more information and we started to see more of the marketing getting closer to the release of the film, you saw that this movie was expanding to include Peter Parker, to include Spider-Gwen and all these other spider people. And one of my main concerns was like, is this movie going to be focused on Miles Morales specifically, or were we just going to kind of have a movie that was really more focused on multiple spider people in the in this multiverse? But it's safe to say that watching this film, that this is a Miles Morales story, and everything that happens in this movie is to serve his story. He is the central focus. He is the central character in this movie, and it pleases me to see that they didn't kind of veer away from that to tell all these other different stories. But even with that being said, I think what they're able to do by really giving all these different characters a lot to do, and really diving deep into their backstory and letting you care about all the other characters, even the villains in this movie. And we'll get to Kingpin and his story as well. But when we see that in this universe that Miles Morales is in, when all these other spider people start to come in, and we see Jake Johnson's Spider-Man, Peter Parker, middle-aged, overweight, down in his luck, kind of depressed Peter Parker, come into his universe to kind of guide him and help him, and the relationship that he has with that older Peter Parker, and how those two characters really are leaning on each other, is a really great story, and the dynamic between the two of them is really good. Then you bring in Gwen Stacy from her universe, and then how she factors into this story, and the dynamic between the three of them, you could kind of say, is really kind of the glue to the Spider-Man aspect of the story. There's another human, more personal story on Miles's part that I think is really kind of the linchpin of the emotional weight of this story. And while I'm talking about it, let's go ahead and get into that. Really, the family dynamic is something that is fully realized in this movie when you talk about the relationship that he has with his father, played brilliantly by Brian Tyree Henry, who's having a phenomenal year this year. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. That family dynamic that he has with his mother as well. His mother doesn't really have a lot of moments on screen, but when you see the two of them together, it really is effective, and you can definitely feel that connection between Miles and his mother. But really, it really comes to me, where the heart of the story does come to, is this is a hero's journey film, and really Miles coming into his own, and part of that is really the relationship with his uncle. Now, this review, I don't want to give a lot away, even though the movie has been out and hopefully you have seen it, but I'm not going to do a spoiler review with this one. But I will say that that relationship between him and his uncle Aaron is pivotal. It's pivotal to the growth of Miles Morales in this movie, and I think it's going to be one of those relationships that is really going to stay with Miles as we move forward. Well, we are, now that they have announced a sequel and a spin-off movie, but that is going to be something that's going to hold, just like with Uncle Ben and Peter Parker. You always have these moments with these superheroes that is kind of life-defining, life-changing, that always stays with them. The relationship between him and Uncle Aaron is something that's definitely going to stay with Miles. Let's go ahead and talk about Kingpin a little bit. Now, how these spider people get into Miles's universe is a device called the Collider. and the collider is something that Kingpin is using, and once you find out the reason why he's using this device, it really fleshes his character out and gives his character more meaning and purpose, and a little bit makes his character a little bit sympathetic too as well. But he's also very menacing and very dangerous, and we see that as well. And it's crazy too, man. Just talking about this film, I'm talking a lot about story, and we haven't really got into the visual aesthetic of this film and the animation style. The animation is something like we have not seen before. The way they use the 3D effect. Now, you can watch the movie in 3D, but that blurred effect that you see when you don't have your 3D glasses on, they use that as depth of field and to rack focus. So, and it's interesting to use that because it's almost like you have to train your eye while you're watching this film. But I thought it was an interesting way to use focus and depth of field in this film for an animated movie that we've never really seen before, and it gives it a little bit more dimension as well than you would see in really any other type of animated film. I mean, I've never seen that type of process done in any other type of animated film, which I thought was really, really clever. Yeah, and then the way they're able to kind of use like 3D or CG backgrounds with two dimension, like 2D hand drawn animation, and the way they're able to kind of meld that together, it gives the movie, it just makes the movie pop. It makes the characters pop from the animation as well. But it's never distracting, and it never takes away from the story. So yeah, the animation I thought was great. Last point, the music. Dan Pemberton, gotta give that guy a shout out. I've been following this composer since he did the score to one of my favorite films from a couple of years ago. I think it was last year actually. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Yes, I love that movie, and his score in that movie put this man on notice for me. And when I heard he was attached to this film, man, I was super excited, and he did not disappoint. This is a fantastic score combined with the soundtrack. If you haven't, download that immediately. The score and the soundtrack, they are absolutely fantastic. The way he's able to use turntable scratching with the really with orchestral instruments, the way he's able to combine those together and really create a nice, great heroic and sweeping score for Miles Morales, man, it's good, man. I thoroughly enjoyed this film. One of my favorites of the year. Definitely go check this out. Those are my initial thoughts for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. If you haven't seen the film, please go check it out and let me know what you thought of the film in the comments below. Remember to go ahead, rate, like, subscribe, and share. And remember to go ahead and check out my other dorks at MouthDork, at TheDiscoDork, at WB Daz, and at Sidewalk Siren. And as for me, I am the Turtle Dork. And with that, your boy is out.